Are you afraid to start something new? Do you feel the weight of uncertainty and the fear of failure holding you back? You're not alone. Even the most successful people in the world face these fears. Today, we bring you words of wisdom from 5 extraordinary individuals who overcame their doubts and achieved greatness. Listen to Larry Page, J.K. Rowling, Steve Jobs, Jack Ma, and Jeff Bezos as they share their insights on starting something new and embracing the unknown. Let their experiences inspire you, empower you, and remind you that every great journey begins with a single step. This is your moment.
I have a story about following dreams. Or maybe, more accurately, it's a story about finding a path to make those dreams real. You know what it's like to wake up in the middle of the night with a vivid dream? And you know how if you don't have a pencil and pad by the bed, it will be completely gone by the next morning. I had one of those dreams when I was 23. When I suddenly woke up, I was thinking, what if we could download the whole web and just keep the links? And I grabbed a pen and started writing. Sometimes it's important to wake up and stop dreaming. I spent the middle of that night scribbling out the details and convincing myself it would work. Soon after, I told my advisor, Terry Winograd, it would take a couple of weeks for me to download the web. He nodded knowingly, fully aware it would take much longer, but wise enough not to tell me. The optimism of youth is often underrated. Amazingly, at that time, I had no thoughts of building a search engine. The idea wasn't even on the radar. But much later, we happened upon a better way of ranking, and we made a really great search engine and Google was born. When a really great dream shows up, grab it. I think it is often easier to make progress on mega ambitious dreams. I know that sounds completely nuts, but since no one else is crazy enough to do it, you have little competition. We almost didn't start Google, actually, because my co-founder Sergey and I were too worried about dropping out of the PhD program. You are probably on the right track if you feel like a sidewalk worm during a rainstorm. That is about how we felt after we maxed out 3 credit cards buying hard disks off the back of a truck. That was actually the first hardware for Google. What is the one-sentence summary of how you change the world? Always work hard on something uncomfortably exciting.
I was set free because my greatest fear had been realized, and I was still alive, and I still had a daughter whom I adored, and I had an old typewriter and a big idea. And so rock bottom became the solid foundation on which I rebuilt my life. You might never fail on the scale I did, but some failure in life is inevitable. It is impossible to live without failing at something, unless you live so cautiously that you might as well not have lived at all, in which case you fail by default. Failure gave me an inner security that I had never attained by passing examinations. Failure taught me things about myself that I could have learned no other way. I discovered that I had a strong will and more discipline than I had suspected. I also found out that I had friends whose value was truly above the price of rubies. The knowledge that you have emerged wiser and stronger from setbacks means that you are, ever after, secure in your ability to survive. You will never truly know yourself or the strength of your relationships until both have been tested by adversity. Such knowledge is a true gift, for all that it is painfully won, and it has been worth more than any qualification I ever earned. So given a time turner, I would tell my 21-year-old self that personal happiness lies in knowing that life is not a checklist of acquisition or achievement. Your qualifications, your CV, are not your life, though you will meet many people of my age and older who confuse the two. Life is difficult and complicated and beyond anyone's total control, and the humility to know that will enable you to survive its vicissitudes.
You can't connect the dots looking forward. You can only connect them looking backwards. So you have to trust that the dots will somehow connect in your future. You have to trust in something, your gut, destiny, life, karma, whatever. Because believing that the dots will connect down the road will give you the confidence to follow your heart, even when it leads you off the well-worn path. and that will make all the difference. I didn't see it then, but it turned out that getting fired from Apple was the best thing that could have ever happened to me. The heaviness of being successful was replaced by the lightness of being a beginner again, less sure about everything. It freed me to enter one of the most creative periods of my life. During the next 5 years, I started a company named Next, another company named Pixar, and fell in love with an amazing woman who would become my wife. Pixar went on to create the world's first computer animated feature film, Toy Story, and is now the most successful animation studio in the world. In a remarkable turn of events, Apple bought Next, and I returned to Apple, and the technology we developed at Next is at the heart of Apple's current renaissance. And Lorene and I have a wonderful family together. I'm pretty sure none of this would have happened if I hadn't been fired from Apple. It was awful tasting medicine, but I guess the patient needed it. Sometimes life's going to hit you in the head with a brick. Don't lose faith. I'm convinced that the only thing that kept me going was that I loved what I did. You've got to find what you love, and that is as true for work as it is for your lovers. Your work is going to fill a large part of your life, and the only way to be truly satisfied is to do what you believe is great work. And the only way to do great work is to love what you do. If you haven't found it yet, keep looking and don't settle. As with all matters of the heart, you'll know when you find it. And like any great relationship, it just gets better and better as the years roll on. So keep looking, don't settle. For the past 33 years, I've looked in the mirror every morning and asked myself, if today were the last day of my life, would I want to do what I am about to do today? And whenever the answer has been no for too many days in a row, I know I need to change something. Remembering that I'll be dead soon is the most important tool I've ever encountered to help me make the big choices in life. Because almost everything, all external expectations, all pride, all fear of embarrassment or failure, these things just fall away in the face of death, leaving only what is truly important. Remembering that you are going to die is the best way I know to avoid the trap of thinking you have something to lose. You are already naked. There is no reason not to follow your heart.
The thing I feel most thankful is all the mistakes, all the refuse that I got. Because without that, there would never be Alibaba. In the past 18 years, every day we make mistakes. Every day we were rejected. I think being rejected, being refused by people, that is very natural. Why people should help you? You have to prove yourself, then people would help you. Alibaba was not made today. Alibaba was made 18 years ago in my apartment. The believing that using internet empower others, using internet to help young people, small business, and women will have bright future. So it's been 18 years hard working. We came here. People love to see successful stories, but most of the success stories, they succeed because of the mistakes. I encouraging all the young people, entrepreneurs, to learn from the mistakes. Do not study successful stories. Successful stories in the Harvard Business School, normally, there are a lot of things behind you don't know. But if you learn from the mistakes, if you learn, especially the failure case studies, it's going to help you. What I want to say, it's not about you. You learn from mistakes does not mean you will avoid mistakes. You will learn the attitude towards these mistakes and never give up, fighting again. Of course, it's very painful when you are rejected, when you're refused. I went all around looking for money. Nobody give us the money. I all go around looking for partnerships. Nobody believed small business and e-commerce in China would work. I was very painful that day, and when I saw one movie, Forrest Gump. I love that movie, especially the sentence said, Mom said, life like a box of chocolate. You never know what you're going to get. So stay full. Stay foolish to your dream and continue to fight. So this is what we did. As an entrepreneur, we never complain. When people complain, the opportunity comes. So if you can solve the complaints, that is your opportunity. 18 years ago, 18 people in my apartment. When we had this dream, when we started, everybody say, You guys are crazy. How can you do e-commerce? No infrastructure, no credit system, no logistics, no this, no that. How could you do internet? We say, if there's no logistic, let's build it. If there's no credit system, let's build it. That is why they need entrepreneurs. I remember when we launched the Taobao, was funny. When we launched Taobao, we thought we're going to have a big business in about 1 month. But for the first 5 days, nobody come here even shopping. So the 7 colleague employees in my apartment, we have to buy ourselves. He sell, we buy. And the first month when somebody came to sell, no matter whatever he sell, we buy them. That would tell the sellers, well, this thing really can be able to sell. So more people come sell. So we bought a whole house of things, garbage, they're no use. But at least we build up the trust. When you start to sell, we start to learn, and we learn the experience of selling, we learn experience of the servicing. Today, from nobody, from nothing, we have got from 18 people to 50,000 people. From nobody come to sell and buy, we got more than 500 million users. And every day, 200 million people come to sell and buy on the Alibaba site, on the Tmall and Taobao.
I got the idea to start Amazon 16 years ago. I came across the fact that web usage was growing at 2,300% per year. I had never seen or heard of anything that grew that fast. And the idea of building an online bookstore with millions of titles, something that simply couldn't exist in the physical world, was very exciting to me. I just turned 30 years old, and I'd been married for a year. I told my wife, Mackenzie, that I wanted to quit my job and go do this crazy thing that probably wouldn't work, since most startups don't, and I wasn't sure what would happen after that. Mackenzie, also a Princeton grad and sitting here in the second row, told me I should go for it. As a young boy, I'd been a garage inventor. I'd invented an automatic gate closer out of cement-filled tires, a solar cooker that didn't work very well out of an umbrella and aluminum foil, baking pan alarms to entrap my siblings. I'd always wanted to be an inventor, and she wanted me to follow my passion. I was working at a financial firm in New York City with a bunch of very smart people, and I had a brilliant boss I much admired. I went to my boss and told him I was going to start a company selling books on the internet. He took me on a long walk in Central Park, listened carefully to me, and finally said, "That sounds like a really good idea, but it would be an even better idea for someone who didn't already have a good job." That logic made some sense to me, and he convinced me to think about it for 48 hours before making a final decision. Seen in that light, it really was a difficult choice, but ultimately, I decided I had to give it a shot. I didn't think I'd regret trying and failing, and I suspected I would always be haunted by a decision to not try at all. After much consideration, I took the less safe path to follow my passion, and I'm proud of that choice. Will inertia be your guide, or will you follow your passions? Will you follow dogma, or will you be original? Will you choose a life of ease, or a life of service and adventure? Will you wilt under criticism, or will you follow your convictions? Will you bluff it out when you're wrong, or will you apologize? Will you guard your heart against rejection, or will you act when you fall in love? Will you play it safe? Or will you be a little bit swashbuckling? When it's tough, will you give up? Or will you be relentless? Will you be a cynic? Or will you be a builder? Will you be clever at the expense of others? Or will you be kind? I will hazard a prediction. When you are 80 years old, and in a quiet moment of reflection, narrating for only yourself the most personal version of your life story, the telling that will be most compact and meaningful will be the series of choices you have made. In the end, we are our choices. Build yourself a great story. Thank you and good luck.
Remember, the fear of starting something new is natural, but it should never stop you from pursuing your dreams. Embrace the challenge, learn from the journey, and create your own story of success. Your path is unique, and only you can walk it. Thank you for watching. If this video inspired you, share it with someone who needs a little push to start their new venture. Together, let's turn fear into motivation and dreams into reality.